Welcome back to the Dividend Diplomats YouTube channel, everyone. Lanny, Bert, the Dividend Diplomats, everybody. This was an exciting week of dividend increases, so we cannot wait to talk to you about 6 companies that just jacked up their dividend over the last week.
Bert, before we do though, make sure everybody hits that subscribe button. Let's juice this video. Let's get the thumbs up. Let's get the likes. Let's hit 500 likes on this video. It takes 2 seconds. We really appreciate it because we want to spread dividend news to the masses, and that's what the diplomats are here to do. Bert, I have to ask you a question. This isn't just 6 any old dividend increases now, are they?
No, there are six dividend increases from a certain sector in a certain country that is huge and loved by a major portion of the dividend growth investor community. Every dividend growth investor from this country, and even in the United States, own shares in these 6 companies.
Guys, dividend investing is back. These 6 companies, again, really are showing that 2021 is a phenomenal year for dividend investors. We love dividend investing because it creates dividend income, which we think is the best source of passive income.
And it's the easiest, Lanny. It's the easiest.
It's the easiest.
Because why? Once you do your research, once you buy the stock, your dividends grow by reinvestment, by taking that dividend, reinvesting and buying more shares, and by increasing that dividend as well. When guess what, Laney? Do you have to do anything to get those dividend increases or that drip?
Just how to make the purchase in the beginning.
That's exactly why it is the easiest. So everybody get excited, get hyped up for that coffee, get that beer ready if that's what it is, whatever drink you want. Get hyped up because we can't wait to talk to you about these 6 increases in this sector. Lanny, what sector are we going to talk about today?
We're going first up north to the neighbors of the United States. We're here in North America, but we're saying, oh, Canada today, because, oh, Canada, oh, baby, you brought in 6 massive banking dividend increases from the big 6 Canadian banks out there. Bert, what a hot week for the Canadian banks and banking dividend investors here.
Yeah, that's right. The big 6, as everybody calls them, because they're the massive banks. They have fantastic balance sheets, great capital ratios. They all pay some nice dividends, and they all increase those dividends, which you're about to see here. So, Annie, let's jump right in because we got 6 ones to go through. We'll do a little talk at the end after we recap them about how pumped up we are and how many of them we own from this list. So let's just dive right into this first one. Lanny, you've got to talk about this one. I wouldn't do it right if I didn't talk about this bank.
So I've owned this bank probably 10 years as well.
Mm-hmm.
When I started dividend investing, when I was a beginner investor, I was wondering what type of growth stocks I should buy. I love banking. I'm still involved in the banking industry. Love it. But I actually have relatives in Canada, and, understanding that there are the big 6 banks to buy in Canada. I bought shares of Canadian Imperial. Ticker symbol is CM. So that's the first dividend stock we're going to talk about. And Bert, I know you own this stock. I own a ton of shares of Canadian Imperial, and they've been a phenomenal dividend growth stock. So the announcement that they had was a juicy 10.3% increase from 143 or 146 in Canadian dollars to 161 in Canadian dollars. Again, a 10.3% increase with a yield over 4.5% right now. That's the equivalent of now $1.25 in US dollars based on the exchange rate per quarter per share, baby.
That's huge. And they also announced a buyback program as well, 10 million shares of buyback too. So they are sending money back to shareholders. And we love Canadian Imperial for that reason. They are typically the highest yielding of the big 6 Canadian banks. So when you take the 4.5 yield and you add in a 10% dividend increase on top of it, that is freaking huge. So again, everybody, Canadian Imperial, 10.3% increase, 10 million buybacks. Congratulations to you, Lanny, to me, because I'm excited we're going to get the increase here, and to all of you Canadian Imperial shareholders. Moving into the second one, though, because this one is another one of the large banks, and they have a pretty large presence here in the United States, especially with the Ameritrade acquisition. The second one is going to be TD Bank, ticker symbol TD. Love it when companies do that. All right, so what did TD Bank do? They announced a 12.7% increase in their dividend. increasing it from 79 cents in Canadian dollars to 89 cents in Canadian dollars. A nice 10-cent increase. You take the exchange rate there, that brings it to the equivalent of 69 cents in US dollars based on today's exchange rate. After this, their yield is significantly lower than Canadian Imperials, but still great with 3.37%.
TD Ameritrade, TD Bank, right there, making massive moves, 12.7%, higher than the 10.3% from Canadian Imperial. And aren't they doing 50 million share buyback program?
Yes, they are, Lanny.
50 million shares.
Yeah.
That's going to really increase that earnings per share, hopefully decreasing that payout ratio for future dividend increases, baby. Now,
yes,
Bert, go ahead.
I was saying another great factor, even though the yield's lower, 3.37% yield, 12.7% dividend increase. Compare that to Canadian Imperial, 4.5% yield, 10.3% increase. Similar dividend factors, even though they have different dividend yields. Sorry, Lanny. So what were you about to say?
I was just about to say, so that was the first two big Canadian banks increasing their dividend, but we're not going to stop there. We're going to go to the Bank of Nova Scotia for a dividend stock number 3 here. Ticker symbol is BNS. They've returned to dividend growth again now that they're allowed to. They came in with an in-between dividend increase from Canadian Imperial and TD. They came in with a nice 11.1 increase from 90 cents Canadian to $1 in Canadian, which still yields 4.91%. The exchange rate's about 78 cents per share per quarter based on the current exchange rate. Phenomenal. Double-digit increase again with an almost 5% yield.
So I was wrong. I always thought Canadian Imperial was the highest yielding there, but I guess Bank of Nova Scotia tops it out there as the highest yielding of the big 6 Canadian banks. We also want to make sure we announce in there, they had the 24 million buyback program as well. So we're going to see a theme here, everybody. Canadian banks, huge increases, nice buyback programs too. A lot of cash getting transferred back to shareholders. Exciting, exciting stuff.
Canada, we love you. Keep this going. Let's do this.
We did see Canada tap the national reserves of maple syrup there too. So keep it flowing.
Hey, we do, the borders are now open between the US and Canada. So I know business is going to be back. Banking is just firing on all cylinders. They really killed it versus the pandemic year. But Bert, that was 3. We still got 3 more.
Yeah, not 1, not 2, not 3. All right, we'll move into the 4th. Bank of Montreal, ticker symbol BMO. Are you sitting down here, Lanny? I think you are, right?
I'm gripping it there.
Because BMO announced a 25.5% increase in the dividend, increasing from 106 Canadian dollars to a small 133 Canadian dollars. You do that with the exchange, that's the equivalent of $1.04 quarterly dividend for US dollars. Their yield is a solid 3.87%.
Whoa. So a 25% increase, more than double everybody on this list.
Phenomenal. Yeah, that factor is out of the water. So they've taken over the top spot of the dividend yield plus dividend growth rate factor right there. And it's going to be hard to beat. But Lanny, should we go into number 5 to see if number 5 is up for the task of running down the ring there, Royal Rumble style, and throwing BMO over the top rope and eliminating them from Royal Rumble here? Canadian Royal Rumble.
5, 4, 3, 2. So here it comes, Royal Bank of Canada as the 5th Canadian stock, ticker symbol RY. They didn't get to the 25.5%, but they did match Bank of Nova Scotia's increase. So Royal Bank of Canada, for the 5th dividend stock we're talking about here today, increased their dividend 11.1% from 108 Canadian to now $1.20 Canadian. So that yield is at 3.79%, so slightly higher than TD Bank, not as high as Nova Scotia, and not as high as Bank of Montreal or Canadian Imperial, but still a very good yield. Exchange rate's now 93 cents in US dollars per share per quarter, but they weren't done. Royal Bank said, hold on. Bank of Montreal, we get it. You did a 25% increase, but we're also buying back 45 million shares. That's what Royal Bank of Canada is doing.
All right, so they didn't just get tossed over the top rope immediately there. They put up a fight. They're sitting down there. They're in the corner, but they're not out of Royal Rumble yet because of what they're doing from the full picture. Let's see, one more entrant, Lanny. This is it, the final entrant here.
It's the final countdown.
All right. The last one. This one's going to be close, Lanny, to see if they can take out BMO here in our made-up Canadian Royal Rumble. National Bank of Canada, ticker symbol NTIOF.
And that's for all the U.S. investors. If you're trading on the OTC market, you could buy National Bank of Canada.
All right, yeah, that's a great point. They increased it from 71 cents Canadian dollars to 87 cents Canadian dollars. That's a 22.5% increase. Their yield is now 3.5%. The exchange rate is the equivalent of 68 cents per share in US dollars. Close, but will their $7 million share repurchase program announcement put them over the edge as the best of the Canadian dividend stock announcements?
Best. That's the question. So, Bert, when you look at these 6 dividend stocks that increased again, Canadian Imperial at 10.3%, TD Bank at 12.7%. Then you had Bank of Nova Scotia at 11.1%, Bank of Montreal at 25.5% increase, Royal Bank of Canada at 11.1%, National Bank of Canada at 22.5%. What do you think was the best of the big 6?
Best of the big 6. Wow, that is a tough question. First, all of them are fantastic. We had 6 companies that announced double-digit dividend increases there. All of these banks have yields above 3%, and 5 of the 6 announced share repurchase programs. So before we even declare the best, let's just say congrats, everybody. This is freaking awesome. The Canadian banks really delivered this last week. Pure number standpoint, I think the best and the most impact is probably Bank of Montreal with the 25.5% increase and the 3.87% yield, even though there wasn't the broader announced repurchase program. What do you think, Lanny?
I mean, I would have to agree with you. Bank of Montreal really shining with a 25.5% increase. Again, ticker symbol is BMO. When I look at the list, I know a lot of people love TD because of their very conservative nature. Maybe they look at returns overall. I would say then you got a battle between Canadian Imperial and Bank of Nova Scotia, really fighting for that high yield plus double-digit increase. Bank of Nova Scotia is obviously looking really nice because they had a higher growth rate plus potentially a higher current yield. So very interesting here. I love all of them right now. If you don't own a Canadian bank dividend stock as a dividend investor, definitely take a look at the big 6 Canadian banks. Do the analysis, see which one you think is a stock to buy right now.
Yeah, honestly, I'm going to be taking a look too, especially as we get ready towards making our annual IRA contributions too.
How many of the Canadian banks do you own?
Right now, I own Canadian Imperial. What about you? 2. Bang, bang. Cactus Jack.
We have Canadian Imperial in mine. Then in my wife's, in her Roth, we have Bank of Nova Scotia.
That's right. So let us know how many you own, how many of these dividend increases you received this week. Which one was your favorite of the 6? And outside of the big 6 Canadian banks, did you receive any other dividend increases? Well, let us know. And obviously, if you haven't already subscribed to our channel, give us that thumbs up. Land, you said earlier it only takes 2 seconds. So you've gotten 2 shots now, and you've had a lot of time in between to take those 2 seconds to like the video. So we expect it from all of you.
Guys, we appreciate the love and the support. This is Bert the Hurt and Laney from the Dividend Diplomats, over and out.